Welcome to another class presentation. This is for Cluster 1 on self-management. The topic for today is about the attributes of emotionally intelligent people. This slide has a statement that I really do believe. I think the emotions of people are very complex because it's a result of a lot of different things, from values and beliefs of people, even genetics, culture, family, upbringing, environment, and even the education that they receive, exposure, experience. A lot of that is involved in the creation of that emotion. And when I say emotion, automatically think of all these different faces right there on the screen, the images, right? That's how our brain works. If we say sad, it automatically picks a vision of a sad face. But an emotion cannot be seen. Emotion itself, at first, is felt. It's the behavior that we see that reflects the person's emotions. All right, so there is that step before you see it. So I would say that, going from emotions to behavior, it could be different for different people. And as I've mentioned, there's so many different factors. Because of the complexity of human emotions, it has earned its right to be classified as a different type of intelligence. And this happened in 1996. The term emotional intelligence was introduced in leadership and management in that year. Before, leaders are chosen because of their technical experience. But there's an evolution of management and leadership. It's been recognized that a leader's ability to manage people is extremely important to getting the results that they want, to be effective in their role. This next slide is about, it's a description. It's a general description of what most people think what emotional intelligence is. Since its introduction in the leadership and management world in 1996, they say that it is a person's ability to recognize their own emotions and feelings, manage their own behavior in response to the emotions that they feel, and make balanced decisions in emotional situations. Now, I still remember the time when I was told that to become a good leader, you shouldn't be very impulsive in showing your emotions. And I fought against that a lot, just to recall myself. I had a different concept of good leadership. And I said, I had always been told that to be a good leader, you must be objective all the time. Well, in some cases, it is true. You have to make very difficult decisions at the end. But I'm talking about the means here. Emotions has a very big role in the journey towards that particular moment when you have to make an objective decision. Because you are called a leader and a manager because you have a team who is working with you. So you have to be able to deal with them to get to the result. However it is that your goalpost is, you're not alone in getting there, and you're dealing with people. So emotions is attached to people. We are not dealing with robots or machines or equipment. It is a huge component in our role to be able to recognize and manage that component, not just within ourselves, but as well as influence and inspire other people to do the right thing, so they could make good decisions in different situations. Now, the next slide is a tool for you to be able to put specific things under the term emotional intelligence. And when I say specific, it's about knowing what you should expect to see, to hear, and even to feel when you are dealing with an emotionally intelligent person. So it has been split into 4 different categories or 4 different attributes. First is self-awareness. Next is self-management. And then you've got, on the other side, social awareness. And then you've got this one bit here at the bottom, relationship management. Let's get into it more deeply. Okay, so we have all the 4 attributes here, but they have words that would describe what you should expect. So let's talk about self-awareness. Now, if you look at this matrix, it actually has 2 different categories. When you talk about emotional intelligence, you also not only think about yourself, but it has to extend to other people. Okay, so you have the personal competence, okay, and social competence. If you notice, the term competence is being used. It is recognition that emotional intelligence is something that you can build on. It is obviously a skill. You can learn to become emotionally intelligent because it is a competence, right? And yes, it could be an attribute. When you say an attribute, it is about, do you have it or not? Were you born with it or not, right? So you've got attributes and the skills. So it is quite a bit conflicting because they say attributes of an emotionally intelligent people. I would then just replace that with qualities of an emotionally intelligent people, because there are certain things that may not be changed, like experiences, past experiences. It's happened. You can't change that. Your genetic makeup, you can't change that. Your upbringing, there's nothing you can do about it. It's already there. And it's obviously influence to who you've become today. So your personality and how you make decisions, how your thoughts are being processed, it's all there. You can't change that. It's there. Yes, it is true. But there is something that you can do. There is something that you can do to be competent, okay, with it. What I'm trying to say is that, yes, there are limitations to become emotionally intelligent. We all have our different limitations, but there is that room because we are constantly growing. We are, as we grow older and more experiences that we observe, there's that room for growth and room for change. So personal competence and social competence, how else can we become more emotionally intelligent? On self-awareness, it deals with your emotions, your behavior, your honesty, okay, and how often and how intense do you do self-assessment. With self-management, once you know your emotions and you're aware about your behaviors, you're very honest about it, you then start learning how to deal with it, to be able to control certain emotions, not to be too impulsive when it's not necessary, or it's best to actually just hold it to make the best decisions, being very honest and transparent about who you are, able to adapt your behavior depending on the need, And then you use the initiative and be very innovative to adapt strategies, like creative strategies, to be able to manage yourself and other people. And you seem optimistic because you know you've got it, but you can still work at getting better at it. So that's personal competence, and we talk about recognition and regulation. Now let's move on to the outward, our outer circle. It's how you should be seen by others. How do people think? What do you do to be considered as emotionally intelligent to other people? It starts with applying what you know about yourself to others. So if you're very good at picking up your emotions and understand, recognizing it, emotions, behaviors, and being able to manage it, you transfer that knowledge when you're observing other people, and then you make your interpretation based on that. And when you do, you then analyze and select the best behavior towards it to relate to other people. Social awareness is about understanding how that behavior came to be. It must have come from somewhere. Emotions and behaviors are attached. As I mentioned as I started my presentation, there's that step. So you've got that emotion and then you've got that behavior. In most cases, as managers, we only see the behavior, especially in a very professional setup. All you could do is see what they're actually doing, right? But are you 100% sure all the time that what you see is actually what that person feels? So you have that process still. Being able to recognize certain behaviors and having a very good analysis of knowing how they really feel so you can react to it appropriately is gold. A lot of mistakes happen when we just judge it by the behavior. And then you react to it. But because this person has learned how to behave in such a way that their emotions are partly concealed, or they are used to not showing a behavior that's generally acceptable or maybe perceived as reflecting that emotion, our reaction to that, if we only base it on what we see, may not be appropriate. May not be effective in managing that emotion. So it influences future behaviors. So we are very limited by just judging behavior based on what we see. We kind of have to analyze a little bit more and see how accurate is this behavior to reflect what the other person is actually feeling. So social awareness is knowing that emotions of yourself and others is absolutely complex. It takes time to learn it. When we talk about relationship management, is using your knowledge and your competence in recognizing people's emotions and their behaviors, and then making that decision on how to handle future relations. Like what sort of decisions are you making? Are they really effective? Are they really appropriate, to respond to the emotions of your people? And as I said, it's a competence, it's a skill. And when you say that it takes a lot of work. So the more work you do on it, especially when you've improved so much on it, people have a tendency to be in awe of your ability to do it because it takes a lot of work. It's like seeing someone who could do circus acts, it isn't that simple. It takes a lot of patience and honesty, experience, support even, and different perspectives and environments and exposure to to really have a very solid ability to appear emotionally intelligent to other people and be very confident within as well. And when they do see that in people, they get inspired, they get, they're in awe of it, they're inspired by it because you're just someone that they would admire because you know how to respond to things. It isn't easy to control one's emotions. It isn't. So, yes. And the true test to becoming emotionally intelligent is the ability to develop others because you can influence and you can inspire them. Therefore, you have a better chance of being to contribute to someone's development. So, you've got all these words in front of you, but how are we going to get there? I mean, what specifically do we need to do to become more self-aware so we could manage our own emotions and behaviors more, and then be able to put that outwards and then manage all our relationships to the best of our ability, So that is going to be on the next class presentation. I'm going to talk about certain techniques to increase your self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. So I hope that you will have a look at our next class presentation next Friday. Thank you very much for your time, and keep on working on it. Though it may be very complex, there's a lot of things that you can do to work on that particular intelligence. And I think the key to a successful leader, not just a manager, but a leader, is to be able to inspire and influence and develop others to do the right thing, whether you are there or you're not there. It's the intensity and the impact of how you make people feel about your leadership that is very important. Thank you, and see you on the next video.